Well, up next, Canadian comedy icon Bruce McCulloch.
Listen, I'm no role model. I don't give advice. But over the last couple of years, I've received a lot of letters, all with the same questions. Bruce, how did you get started in comedy? You know, acting and writing. And what advice do you have for someone trying to break in? Okay, here goes. First of all, I guess if you're in school, make jokes. Don't worry about if your teachers like it or not. The only teacher you should listen to anyway is your English teacher. But not too much, because remember, no one understands you. Education is not your friend. Neither is sleep. You won't need it where you're going. Instead of studying, try listening to tragically loud music daily. And be strict with yourself. You gotta do it every day. You know, now that I think about it, I think it's very important to let liquor be the wind beneath your wings.
Well, Bruce McCulloch is a comedian, an actor, a writer, a musician. He's directed TV shows like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Schitt's Creek, Trailer Park Boys, films like Superstar and Stealing Harvard. He was a writer on SNL. He has a theater show called Tales of Bravery and Stupidity, which he is bringing to Saskatoon. And of course, Bruce McCulloch is also one of the top 5 comedians in the Kids in the Hall. Good afternoon, Bruce.
Yes, thank you. I'm either 4 or 5, fifth in the Kids in the Hall, depending on the day.
We won't get into that debate, but I think you're all number one. Bruce, just how are you doing today? What are you up to?
Just having like a shirt on my top and pajamas on my bottom, because that's the way I roll when I do interviews.
Yeah, what do you do when you're not or what do you like to do when you're not working or traveling?
Well, I usually drive my children everywhere and give them my credit card and expiry date. I like to work out. I like to rest. I like to pause. And I still believe that whiskey can be the wind beneath your wings.
Okay, we might come back to that. Anything you're obsessed with these days? I know you like to be obsessed with things.
Oh, I'm obsessed with everything. That's partially what my show's about. I'm obsessed with all kinds of people. What I'm actually obsessed with specifically is someone keeps leaving a really terrible cat structure in front of our house, and we keep throwing it out. And then another weird, where the cats would go to scratch their claws or
Right.
whatever. They just keep arriving as if aliens from another planet think that's the way of driving us crazy.
You were, of course, born and raised next door in Alberta. You've obviously performed in Saskatchewan several times. What are your thoughts on our province?
Well, I love your little province, and it's not little. And I've always loved the shape of it from the map, how pristine it is. No, it's fun there, and as Gordani calls it, rolling into the Paris of the prairies, which is, I don't know if that's a Saskatoon or Regina, but that's the way I feel. Like the coolest little cities that are underrated in Canada are probably those two.
Well, you said on a different CBC radio show about 4 months ago that you just pick your favorite cities, you line them up, and you go. Again, Bruce, that was 4 months ago. What does that say about us in Saskatoon?
Well, it's taken me a while. I'm sorry that I picked Seattle and Portland and San Francisco before
Pretty good cities,
Saskatoon. Yeah, but but the great part is I get to see all these places that I wouldn't be otherwise. And the nice thing is that the people I meet are slightly different, but they're all kind of the same because they're there to see me.
Well, the show that they're going to see in Saskatoon is called Tales of Bravery and Stupidity. I brought a clip. Let's roll that sucker. So that's an excerpt from Bruce McCulloch's comedy show, Tales of Bravery and Stupidity. Bruce, what inspired you with that one?
Well, it rocks. I mean, that's sort of Bubba Riley by The Who. It's like if I'm going to come out, sometimes in a theater show where it comes out and the lights come up slowly and a guy or person's drinking a mug of tea. I don't want to start my show that way. I want to come out and rock and lay it down. So that was the impulse for that.
Well, this isn't a typical show. How is it different than, your stand-up stuff, your sketch-based stuff?
Well, someone said actually it's kind of a magic act, that it starts like a stand-up show and it turns into a really cool theatrical show where you sort of have meaning and moments of, thinking about the world. So it started as a theater show. I did it first a couple times off Broadway in New York. And then I've just, put it in a way that I can bring it around in a suitcase from town to town. But it's, the backbone of it is still the same, which is sort of us using humor to get through the tough parts of life. And I move pieces around as per my want. I'm sure I'll do something about Saskatoon when I'm there. But yeah, it's just a one-person show that's music, storytelling, comedy, and here we go.
Obviously, you do it for comedy, but I'm wondering, what fuels your humanistic yearnings, your desire to, decipher the world?
Well, it's interesting, because people who have seen my kids in the hall work sometimes don't realize what a mushy little heart I have, maybe because I have such a tough exterior. But, it's spending 70 minutes with someone. It's really nice to do something that isn't just like really funny and then haha, that you want to spend some time with me and get to know me, and as my life relates to yours, and at the end feel a little something, be it uplifted or like I'm that way too. So I think it's incumbent to do a little bit more. Maybe it's age, but maybe it's this format where you get to commune with people for an extended period of time right in front of them.
There is something punk rock about that too, right? Punk rock doesn't mean just mohawks. It's also, maybe being a good person and, the human side of things.
Oh, well, my God, the thing that we all know is that punks are the sweetest, the sweetest souls in the world. And like Kids in the Hall fans, they didn't always know where they fit in. And what I say in the show, it's a lot about outsiders. I say outsiders, there sure are a lot of us, which is the great, river that flows beneath the show and all my work, which is like, yeah, we're weird, but we're cool and we're all the same.
Well, I did bring another clip. This is also from Tales of Bravery and Stupidity.
Never go up to a blind man with rippled chips and say, "Here, read these." I want to go to my parents' house, want to go to my parents' house. I want to go to my parents' house, but I can't because they're dead.
Bruce, so a lot of people would, hear that and call you pitch black humor or dark comedy. But I wanted to ask you, is that really even a thing? Isn't, comedy just comedy? Don't we need to find those uncomfortable things to make us laugh?
Well, there's all kinds of comedy, but the dark comedy in which I talk about, I describe myself as the dark purple slice in the Kids in the Hall, I think is an important thing to get us through these grim times. The, Parents' House, is a song about how it's raining parents. Everybody I know is their mom either has Alzheimer's or, dementia. And so I think that we use comedy to get through the dark times in life. And in fact, they get us through in a way almost nothing else could. And so, I've never been funnier than at my dad's, funeral where there were 7 people, including him, maybe because he's such an a-hole. But no, I think it's really important to process grief and even with COVID, what we've been through. We're not even discussing what we've been through. We're just sort of back at work, sort of,
Can you tell my listeners that story of the dark purple slice? I think that's so interesting.
Well, it was, I had done a show in a small city that didn't go too well. And the local newspaper had a pie chart of all the kids in the hall. And in it, they put me as the dark purple slice, just probably arbitrarily. But yes, I ran with that. Yes, I am the dark purple slice. Yes, I am the guy who played Cancer Boy. And we'll sing about my parents' house.
Did you really dress up as your deceased dog for Halloween?
Yes, my daughter hadn't received closure for my dog that died, and it was actually her idea that I dress as Lulu for Halloween, and I did dress as Lulu, and in fact wore her collar so people could come and visit me and say goodbye to Lulu.
What's that like?
Well, it was a crappy gig, but as I say, at least I didn't have any lines because I was a dog.
Bruce, I brought another clip.
These are the days I know. 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 David Hoffner, he works in my dad's store. He's worked here for 12 years. He'll probably work here for more. These are the days I know. These are the days I know. These are the days.
So, Bruce, I wanted to know, do you actually want them to play this at your funeral, or is your family just going to do it?
Oh, my family won't do it. I think someone like you A bearded gentleman in a black T-shirt will come with
I won't be there, Bruce, unfortunately. But I heard you say that your friends and family will definitely, or that song will play at your funeral.
Yeah, well, and it's also it's a conversation about like how cool am I? Like, why not play my catchiest, dumbest thing at my funeral? And it's about me going, I love the place I hold in culture, the small one, be the weird little guy who's trying to do some serious work sometimes. But of course, they're going to sing the Daves I know at my funeral.
The thing I wanted to know about that video back in the day, like who was shooting that? Who was going around finding all the Dave signs? Did you have to do that?
No, I did part of it, but we were a small production, but Kids in the Hall was a production, so there was helpers with that.
That would have been fun.
Yeah, but we did shoot in my dad's old furniture store, one of the scenes.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Bruce, I brought another clip because if I don't ask you about this one, my best friends will absolutely kill me.
This rock is a big part of the McPholson tradition. For generations, the McPholson men have been coming here on their 13th birthday to enter manhood. You see, there's certain parts about being a man that one just has to experience. So like my father before me, you're gonna watch your dad get pathetically drunk. Happy birthday, son. Broke my hand on a pineapple. Didn't even care. $10 is $10. And $20 is $20.
Bruce, I can't even contain myself just listening to it. I've heard it 100 times in the last day as well. But yeah, I have friends who come up to me constantly saying, $10 is $10 or yelling Mr. Bus Driver at me. What was the story behind that skit, if you don't mind me, or don't mind telling us?
Well, of course, the impulse is that my dad was sympathetic.
Right.
Was a boozer. No, that was one of the first things I ever directed. And I don't always believe in improv, but that was one of those, okay, you're just going to roll the cameras for about 8 minutes and I'm going to say a bunch of weird shit. And that's what came out.
Do people yell Mr. Bus Driver at you ever?
They do $10 is $10 more. But yes, I've heard Mr. Bus Driver as well.
So what do you get to enjoy a drink of gin after your shows, after you come to Saskatoon?
Yes, I think so. I have it in my rider now that I get a bag of chips and a very small bottle of gin just in case I need a drink.
What kind of chips?
Usually barbecue chips.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're not slamming Nog and Rise anymore after the shows?
No, God, no. Too complicated. I'm a simple man.
Is it true you were in a love triangle with Santa Claus?
I wish.
I got to ask you about that, Bruce. It was a really lovely Christmas story that you had written for, I believe, it was Swerve?
Yes. Yeah, where I was... it was like Mrs. Claus's point of view, and the idea that we think of her as we dismiss her as this middle-aged woman, and the idea was that I had dated her as a young man living in Calgary above Bagels and Buns, where I lived, and that I gave her to Santa because he needed her. So yes, we fought over young Miss Claus. She wasn't Miss Claus then, and then of course he got her. Well,
Bruce, we're really excited for you to come to Saskatoon. Anything else you want the listeners to know?
No, just that it's a serious show, but it's actually mostly funny. So it'd be great to see people. But if you can't come, I understand that too.
I love it. Bruce, thank you so much for this.
Thank you for this.
You brought a clip.
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrific.
Yeah.
Great. Anything we need to do to set this up?
No, just roll that sucker.
Oh, that's a clip.
Yeah. I mean, I know you put on a show every night, and I don't...
You had to bring a clip.
Yeah. But actually, there's some better stuff. There's a clip
really?
where a guy comes in later. Maybe if everybody applauded, we could show that clip. That would be
Show the clip.
great.
All right. Show that. You brought a lot of clips.
Yeah, I'm doing some other stuff. Actually, I just did a big network show.
Really?
Is it possible maybe to roll a clip? I don't know.
Go ahead. Yeah. Big network show.
Thank you.
What about your love life? How is that going? Are you married? Are you single?
I actually have a new girlfriend.
Really?
Yeah.
That's great.
I brought a clip. Would you like to see it?
Yeah. Take a look.